All right, all right. All right, all right. We're just having fun, right? That's all we can do. What else are you gonna do, right? We have a limited time in this existence on this earth. We're happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive and to be able to do this with you. You can turn on your YouTube on your phone, on your tablet, wherever you are. You can see me out here. I'm just sending some love to you wherever you are in the world. It's a worldwide phenomenon. I'd love for you to say hi. Let me know where you are. I really appreciate that. It's fun. I like to connect with you. We're all just intelligent animals enjoying this earth, living on this earth, and hopefully we're being nice to the fellow denizens of this planet. We're being nice to those folks around us. Nice to see you here from Brisbane, Australia. Nice to see you from Nepal, out here in Toronto, Hungary. I'm kind of hungry myself. What's going on from Sydney, Sweden, and Michigan, Puerto Rico? These are my people. I don't do a lot of YouTube videos, maybe one a week if you're lucky, at most, right? At most. But I like to do it when I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood right now. And you folks know now I like to hear where you're coming from. Boston. A lot of friends out in Boston. How you doing? From London. London Bridge is falling down. Hope you're doing well. That's great. I love to see these folks from Bay Area, California, Switzerland, from Spain, South Carolina in the United States, the grand old United States. Hola, ¿cómo estás ustedes? Juan Llanos Olman from Colombia. Nice to see you, brother. London, North Carolina, Illinois. Listen, and Philippines. ¿Cómo está po? Salamat po. Ottawa, Poland. We're all the same, right? We're just trying to have fun. We're trying to be, have a family, have our jobs, and we just happen to all be interested in crypto at the same time. I am Big Cheds. I like to think of myself as a chart nerd, an academic. I found my way into the crypto sphere, and you're watching me. I'm on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a Twitter channel. It allows me to reach out and hopefully add some value. But look, I'm having fun too. I'm not going to lie. I love these conversations we have. Hello from Dubai, Ukraine, Maine. So let's get right into this. So look, you folks are here from all over the world. I appreciate that. Luxembourg, Montreal. I love Montreal. It's a great city, by the way. Talk about it in my first book, My Battles with Cancer. I talk about that city of Montreal. So let's get this just get this out of the way. You get a sense of what's going on, folks. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Big Cheds. I like to think about my feed as academic observations about price, trading psychology, risk management. That's how I like to talk about that. You can find my book. It's on Amazon, Trading Wisdom, 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. I have 4 formats: Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. If you don't want to buy the book, I have your back. I have a free version. It's on YouTube. I'm about to do lesson 13. I've done 12 so far. Eventually, I will have the whole book for free for you on YouTube. Check it out. And the book is basically 1/3 trading psychology, 1/3 risk management, 1/3 technical analysis. I'm quite proud of it. If you check it out, the reviews are unbelievable. I mean, 4.8 out of 5 stars, 500 people. It's nice. I mean, I felt like the book was something special, but to see it actually, to see people's feedback and to confirm that, it's an unbelievable feeling. I'm incredibly proud. Please do consider checking that out. Brand new to trading, go to my long form interview series. That will kind of get you started with a lot of the more brighter minds in our space, kind of like philosophies and really just some interesting people. And when you're ready to start looking at technical analysis, go to the tutorials, educational live streams. I'm thinking about planning on doing a new one in the coming months, but these are really important. These are masterclass webinars for free. They're going to teach you my basic style of technical analysis, how to kind of interpret price action. It's based on a blending of classical charting principles, and really I've tweeted this out before, but it's really a basic, kind of a blending of the Schabacker and Nissen, and you kind of blend in the CMT as well, obviously. So it's really kind of what I found that works. And so I definitely kind of encourage you to check out these webinars. They're going to kind of get you in a position where you can understand a little bit more of maybe what I'm saying and that type of thing. So please do check that out. Please check out the quick market updates. That's what this is. I'll go into Bitcoin a little bit, but like Bitcoin really hasn't changed much. We're in the middle of like a kind of like, step back. We're in this kind of a lateral range, and that's still the case. And I think once we dropped into this range and we broke down, we initially broke below 30K here, 40K rather, pardon me. Initially broke, yeah, below really at 42K. When we really broke that early December low, we kind of set ourselves into this rectangle. We had to kind of look at the possibility of, what if we do another 80-day rectangle? Um, so we're kind of whatever. We're kind of potentially in that position at that point. But I'm not going to go into that too much tonight with Bitcoin. I'm really kind of interested more in the altcoins. So I'm going to do kind of a full altcoin review. I'm just going to scroll through my watch list and I'm just going to look at stuff and I'm just going to tell you what I think. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna shine you on. I'm not gonna try to sell you a story. I'm just gonna you're like hear it. You're gonna hear it. You're gonna see it with me as I see it. What I think, how I kind of approach it. I don't think I've done one of these on my YouTube channel in a year at least. I have done one before a long time ago. I haven't done one of these like full kind of like watch list sweeps. Um, it's an interesting spot because BTC is still clearly in a corrective phase, and just to kind of set the table, we're below 46K. So we're still risk off, kind of in the broader scale. You can kind of initiate kind of a risk on thesis anywhere above 40K. And we've kind of talked about that in length in my kind of prior video update. So I'll let you kind of pursue that further if that's what you're interested in. Let me check in the chat room here real quick. What's up in England? Uh, Thank you so much. I'm super proud of Bitcoin Live. Oh, I didn't even mention that. I'm a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live, the best in class educational platform for crypto. For almost 4 years, I've been doing twice a week full market updates. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, I will do an update. I'm on vacation, I do an update. It's really important to me. So if you're interested in that, kind of like my teaching style, my technical analysis style, definitely please check that out. And thank you for mentioning that. I'm glad that you're enjoying being part of the team. We've been in this lateral range, and we've had, you think about Dow theory, right? You go back to the turn of the 21st century, primary trend, we're kind of in a secondary corrective trend. Like I've gone through all that, and the kind of relief rally phase, and the kind of the high water mark of the relief rally at this point being the 46K mark, and they need to kind of flip that over. That's what needs to happen. So we're kind of that's the table that's been set, dropped into this range. I've maintained kind of a risk off posture, certainly below 46K. You can be a little bit more risk on above 40K. Psychological thesis, highs of January, lows of February, vis-a-vis, right? But it's been choppy lately. It's been really choppy lately. So you're kind of into this kind of, look at the tweets. I mean, I'm putting out 12-hour tweets. I'm having to look a little bit more micro, because we're still just in the lateral range. We're still just we're still just below 46K. And we're above 30K. And that's kind of the table that's set, right? Everything else is kind of a narrative. We're getting a lot of like on-chain stuff, and we're getting the whole, I guess, I don't know, everyone's hyped up because some guy like Stablecoin's gonna buy some Bitcoin. Like, my whole thing is like, don't tell me, show me. Like, yeah, I get it. I get it. Like, that's a story though. Like, I want to see the price flip resistance. I want to see the price recapture level loss previously, because like that's data. Like, I don't want to hear about a story. I get it, and I've been doing this for so long that like I'm irritated now with the stories. I'm irritated with the narratives. I'm just irritated by them because it's just like, listen, I did none of that's important. 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. It's not even worth the price of a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Throw it out. Just focus on the chart. So we're below 46K. We're kind of ranging here. We're ranging. That sets the table. So, a little bit of mojo back above 40K. And we got to, as we're speaking, we got a little mojo here too. We'll zoom in now, but now we're talking about all mid-channel price action. Cheds, what do you mean, big Cheds? What does that mean? I get all, by the way, thank you for following me on Twitter. I get a lot of questions, and I can't reply to them all, but I get a lot of them where it's like people apologize for being new. Like, why? You have to start being news. There's no apology. Don't apologize. Ask the question. Either get answered or not. Um, so like, I'm not all over my Twitter replies like I used to be. I've had to kind of phase things out a little bit. I still love you folks, and you know that, especially the longtime folks. But look, ask your questions. I may or may not be able to reply to them. If I don't, like, don't take it personally. It's all chop here in the middle. So that's kind of where we're at. So now we're like looking for some, we're looking a little bit closer. And it's like, all right, we get the fact that we have a tightening range kind of within the broader range, this January lows, January 24th lows, February 24th lows. We know that. The spring entries, we talked about those as well. It's all chopping here, right? It's all chop below 46K. You got to zoom in and you got to try to, and these are like lower confidence entries. It's just a lower high test. You got the tightening range at the high, right? And the lower high. All right. And then from that lower high, you got another lower high right there, which you're challenging. And you can use that to structure a trade. That's pretty straightforward kind of horizontal kind of thesis. And I appreciate the comments. You're seeing, yeah, I'm the man. I'm just having fun. Just having fun. You are clarity. Look, I mean, I'm just trying to have fun. And I feel good. I feel like I've got knowledge. I put in the time and I have done the work and I've been burned a lot. So like this is what I do. I'm not speaking theoretically about making bad moves because I've made them. Like trust me. Every dumb move you've made, I know all about it. So we'll talk about it. We'll have a beer, we'll talk about it. Um so we're a little bit more micro. We're looking at lower highs here. We see the lower high. And so like that's fine. So that might create a little bit of a window. I talked about this in Bitcoin Live. I talked about how there's the chop range. And I'll do a report. I'll do the Sunday night candle update tomorrow, which is great. Kind of wrap up the weekly update. But there's a little window here. Yeah, you might recapture this lower high. There's a decent little window to 46, but it's kind of a chop range, right? Like if you just were looking for like the broader momentum, everything with technical analysis is identifying the trend and riding the trend and trading off of the counter trend moves, trading those kind of overreaction moves. We've talked about that in my prior videos. We get above 46, we're really cooking. I mean, we're really cooking. I mean, it's pretty clear and it's quite clear. So that sets the table. I'll check in with the chat room and I'll start my foray or my journey through the altcoin watch list. Greens from Hong Kong. Thank you for teaching. Thank you. Teaching makes me better. To teach any skill, to teach it, you have to really understand it. So let's see what's going on Bitcoin. So we're looking at Ethereum. I have been waiting to tweet out, and it hasn't happened. I've been waiting to tweet out first upper BB tag for Ethereum since early February. It hasn't quite happened. I've been watching that. It's a nice little bounce. It's a nice, I'll give it that, but it's a lower high. And you can kind of go into the lower time frames. We see that tweezer here, and end of February, early March. That's your lower high. You get another tweezer here, right, with the inside bar with the spinning top. But how do you start a how do you start a bull pennant? You have to start out a bull pennant, usually with a series of the inside bars. I mean, so I really wouldn't completely discount bulls here. I mean, obviously you can't completely discount them, but it's a nice little push by bulls and then kind of a normal pause and consolidation. And most people get scared by a pause and consolidation. For my money, I think I'm not in it. You just gotta wait for a clearance of a 3K. Go long in a break of 3K. It's pretty simple. If it drops, maybe you try it at 2750. These lower support ranges here, 2400, of course. But like we got to be careful with the market too. Bitcoin, let's just set this up. Let's just set this up a little bit more. 0x, we'll get to that. So Bitcoin, we're in the chop range. We're at the lower high. We could bounce and then reject at 46K. I've got people, I understand people are kind of pointing out potential for like an ascending triangle, which is normally a bullish continuation pattern, but you can kind of imagine that with with the ascending hypotenuse and the flat resistance. But it's still consolidation, right? After a bear advance, which favors kind of the trend, which got you there, right? So we get, we can't be too excited. We got to be kind of keeping in mind the idea that we may very well reject here and then flush and break down. So I'm still looking at lower targets. I've got them in Bitcoin. I've talked about them before. Ethereum, 17, 1800. I'm kind of keeping an eye on. I think would be a nice, comfortable level for me to buy the blood. 17, 1800. Right around here. Right around here. Touching those kind of May lows, June lows, and July lows. And I talk about the concept of like a low ball bid, or I've talked about that. I don't know I don't know the chapter or whatever, in my book offhand, but the video's up there. I think it's less than 4 wait for opportunity. I'm not going to go into it now, but it's in the videos that are already out, the free ones. So check that out. I'm kind of looking lower potentially. Ethereum BTC is interesting to watch because when Ethereum BTC is rising, it's generally suggestive of a corrective period on Bitcoin, right? Like when this chart is bouncing, Bitcoin's not. Bitcoin's pausing, Bitcoin's kind of hanging out, right? We'll get to that, folks. We'll get to that. When I think of Luna, I'm going to get to all of it. So I have you. I've got you. Ethereum BTC. I mean, you can see a kind of a clearly defined kind of a downtrend line. It's not about the trend. It's not about the line. It's about a trend, right? We've talked about that. It's just kind of a clearly defined, descending supply, and kind of a further anxious state of further anxious buyers. Um, we get that break here. It's in a position where you get a nice little break, get a little lower high break, a little MA200 recapture. You could see a real nice move on Ethereum, and that would suggest Bitcoin's not gonna bounce. It would suggest Bitcoin might probably be bouncing 35 to 38K at that point, right? So you can kind of use the ETH BTC pair to kind of give you a sense of what Bitcoin's doing. Let's start the scan. I may or may not mention your favorite altcoin, all right? And I may or may not even stop and pause on it. So I'm going to look for relative strength, right? You want to understand the concept of relative strength. Relative strength means that these are the strongest market participants. It's not the RSI. It's not like, the RSI, the RSI 14 period where you're kind of measuring the close of an individual chart versus, its own closes in that 14 period. It's about when the market, everything drops and everything's bouncing, which charts put in the higher lows, which charts break their lower highs, which ones were stronger before the drop, right? Those will be the strongest, most likely after the drop. It's that concept of relative strength. It's the idea that we have limited funds and limited time, that we should, and because of that, we should only play the strongest market participants. That's like the whole point, right? Happy Saturday, guys. Absolutely happy Saturday. Loving every day. Loving every day. I try not to sugarcoat things. That's the thing. I'm not like life's too short. I'm not gonna like what am I gonna do? I'm just trying to find smarter ways to explain complicated things to you, metaphors, analogies, and that's where my book comes from. I have a new book coming out, by the way, in a couple months. It's a book on the quotes, my quotes from the book and my new stuff after. I'll talk about it more. So listen, I'm gonna look at these altcoins. I'm barely on A. I haven't even got started here. I may or may not pause and talk about your favorite altcoin, right? But I'm looking for relative strength, so I've explained that. And then if anything jumps out that's teachable, that's interesting, that's worth talking about, I'll do it. Okay. AAV. So we talk about volume cluster. I put out a tweet. I do like the bottom type volume cluster that's building. So we could see some volume here. You see the most volume at the top and the bottom of the chart, right? When you're trending, you don't need volume because there's already an imbalance in supply and demand. You look for volume at the top and the bottom of the chart. So heavy volume here is suggestive of a potential pausing and potential flipping in the trend. You've got this you kind of recaptured that level. You got some momentum here. You kind of back up above the MA50. This is like a downtrend that you're watching. I wouldn't really actively trade this because you want to be trading charts that are, ideally only trading stuff that's above the MA200, right? That's your trend. You want to own ideally. This is ideally like what's your best condition? Your best condition is a rising MA200 and playing this, while it's above the 200, maybe even playing it here in the MA200 test, which it failed, and then you would have cut and kind of limited your loss at that point. Um, at this point, it's kind of like that red light turning yellow, maybe starting to reverse. I like the volume. I like the lower high. I like the recapture, right? The lower high break. I like the recapture of that low. So this is one of those like downtrend reversal watches, but I really wouldn't be itching to play it, right? It's this whole thing where we're worried about, like when you're in a downtrend, like when you're in something that's going down, and I hear it all the time because I've felt it, I've done it, I get it, where you're like, I'm gonna check the chat room before I make this point. Check in with everybody. Argentina, nice to see you. From Argentina, Chet Legend. I'm just having fun, brother. Thank you. Nice to see you again, Khalid. All right. So, it's the point that I forgot what I was about to say. So I'm human, right? The point is, you need to wait for that trend to reverse. There's no reason to rush into it, and the idea that you want to be playing relative strength. Let's continue on. Let's continue on to ADA. ADA. So this one's really interesting, actually. We've talked a lot about ADA. I've talked a lot about it in my videos here, all on Twitter. The Head and Shoulders, the concept of the Head and Shoulders top, and the concept of when like a bearish reversal or any pattern fails, that being a signal in the other direction, right? Big ups in Western Australia. Here with the Head and Shoulders top, the right shoulder failure, you had an excellent long signal, one excellent long signal at 150, bounced to 320, came all the way back. Initially bounced off that 150. Now we're below it. Sorry, that 150 kind of failed to really hold that as a pivot point, but we dropped back to $1, which was kind of the bottom of the demand level that had held multi-month and arguably multi-year kind of a demand area. And now we're on the under. We've been rejecting on the underside, the pullback, the bearish retest. Simply put, $1 support had held for a long time. And when you have a level that's held for a long time, and you break that, oftentimes you get that retest and rejection. We had it here at end of February, early March. The question here with ADA is like, do we have enough strength for another bearish retest? It's not like, is the bottom in, right? You got to condition yourself not to jump in and on the first sign of a counter trend rally. It doesn't, especially when you're holding it, it's tempting because you want to believe that every little bounce is the bottom. I've lost so much money in so many plays that I've been there, and I get the mentality. Like I'm telling you, right? You have to be almost apathetic. You have to be just kind of like, you just have to wait for confirmation, and you have to wait for major levels to be recaptured. And this one, it's got to be $1. Everything under it's bearish. Everything above it, I think, is bullish. What do we think about Algo here? Algorand. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of what I'm seeing on Algo. We're below the 200. It's kind of flattened out. Alice, pretty bearish to me. AMP, bearish. Anchor, it's kind of boring sideways, but really more bearish than anything. ATA, it's bearish. ATM, it's just sideways. Like it's trendless at this point. But if you're patient enough, you would suggest you'd think that this chart will continue bullishly. It's the idea that trends tend to continue, and in terms of like chart construction, just in terms of understanding the momentum. And what you want to understand is the massive move that took you to get up to here, the 18 to 25 range, and you extend that over here, and all this price action, a lot of this price action is above that. So we've kind of baked all those gains in. So that's a healthy looking chart to me. That's what I kind of look and I kind of see, right? I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much, friends. Thank you for watching. 446 of you. Just having fun. We're talking about charts. Nothing else to do on a Saturday night. So we talked about ATOM and that kind of lateral range auction. Someone requested this very interesting candle. So here's the deal. This type of candle that just happened here is an abnormality. Um, it is a lot of volume in a kind of otherwise lower volume chart. Perhaps in other exchanges, there might be more volume, but you can't really draw too many conclusions on this chart. You don't wanna FOMO into it. You don't wanna you wanna stop and wait. Like, in this type of situation, I'd really only be interested on a retracement, potentially back to kind of the middle point of the green candle. The highs of the bounce were previously rejected and then flipped. But otherwise, I mean, I'm not that interested in this chart. Audio doesn't look too good either, pretty bearish, even with this nice little pump. Is that the same? No, auction audio, yeah. So in anticipation of this video of this update, I put out a tweet. I kind of combed through your replies. I may have missed some of them, of course, but I looked at a bunch of them, and I need chart history. Technical analysis is an is an analysis of historical data, of historical price action. You're looking for a trend, right? So a lot of the ones, if there's only 5, 6 months, there's not much you can do with it. Much love to you back in the UK, buddy. I appreciate that. Saturday nights are for making love. All right. If you ain't doing that, then read charts. Wow, what a great message. That's so funny. AVAX, so I mean, it's like a broader uptrend, but it's a question of like, when's it gonna really continue? When's it gonna kind of reignite the rally? And we've got a classic lower high test here. You got a classic lower high. Your high, your lower high, your lower high, and we're testing that right here. It's at the upper Bollinger though. It's done that classic lower Bollinger to upper Bollinger move, and AVAX has been interesting. We've been kind of observing the tightening range on AVAX, and we've kind of seen that it's kind of getting right there. And I was actually setting up to, as they say in the U.S. down in the South, kind of fixing to either long on a clear break of that level or short on a clear break of this level. We bounced right off that clear demand level. And we're bouncing right into supply. So that's kind of what it is. And it's really easy to get caught away, but it's really easy to get carried away. But unless you bought right at that moment, that's the thing with your trading and your discipline. It's about the timing and your entry. Thoughts on BNB? We're gonna get there, brother. Massimo, we're gonna get there, brother. All right, Barbieri, my friend, we're gonna get there. I promise. So that's the thing, right? You either got to get right at that key level or you got to wait for a break. Don't play the chop in between. AXS, the metaverse play. I mean, it's kind of looks like it's a rolling over, look kind of a bearish chart to me. Rejecting here at the MA50. Not a fan of it. BAT. Not a fan of the chart. Not a fan of the chart. BCH, that's a bearish looking chart to me. Consolidation after breaking down, losing 200. Not a fan of it. BNB, you just asked about. It's losing its steam. That's the bottom line. I think you need to sell if you break below like the 330 range. I think you don't want to be stubborn on this one. As much as there's a great marketing machine behind it, and all that good stuff, and they've got like market share or whatever. We're gonna get to it. XRP analysis, folks. The watch list is populated. So it's alphabetical. I either am gonna cover it or not. So it's an uptrend that's kind of losing that momentum, and it needs to hold above 330, above 420 or 440. You can see momentum. Seller looks terrible. CHR looks terrible. CHZ, you know, you CHZ looks terrible. You have limited time and limited funds. You need to really only play the best stuff out there. All right, that's the bottom line. Coco looks okay, but there's a lot better stuff. A lot better stuff. Cope, this thing looks terrible. CRV. Yeah, bears are in control. There's no question bears are in control of this chart. You need to at least break above 240 and really flip back above 320 to get anything going. CTS looks terrible. The CTVX WETH, I have this on here from a BCL request. Kind of a threatened uptrend. I think ideally you'd want to see it above this level here on the January highs and kind of the bottom here. So it looks a little bit threatened. It might be doing what FTM is doing on that underside retest. Dash looks terrible. Dent Dent looks terrible. Look, MA50 below the 200. These are downtrends. Uh, Downtrend. Doge looks terrible. This is why you don't want to get caught up in these coins. Dots actually looks pretty good, and I might have misjudged the strength of this relief rally. I mean, we've got our first close above the MA50 here. Um, since pardon me, we got our first close above the MA50 since really all year. That's notable for sure. It's got a lot of ground it needs to a lot of ground needs to kind of make up to get me interested. I think above 24 though, I might get interested. I think you're just every bounce because given the kind of the condition that it's in, the kind of the state of the chart, any kind of bounce in here is like, better than 60 to 70% to reject. So if you get above that level, I would be interested. I think that would be something to really pay attention to at that point. Dusk, someone had asked for. Yeah, it's got to get it back up above this level, 42, 43 cents, the bottom line. You want to see like when you capture a base, like you don't want to keep giving it back to your enemy. You have to keep recapturing the base. Like, what's the point of that? You lose resources every time. You need to recapture that and then use that as kind of like a forward operating base for your next attempt. D2YDX, pretty terrible looking chart. EGLD was requested by a few people on the Twitter thread. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's a threatened trend, unconfirmed downtrend at this point. Just don't be stubborn. Don't be stubborn if you get a further bear break. You've had opportunities to sell. Pretty clear break here, right? 217. Don't be stubborn. If you start to lose these lows, 120, just don't be stubborn. All right. All right, let's continue on, my friends. All right. All right. There we go. I don't know what this is. ENS. There's no history. That's terrible. EOS looks terrible. These are terrible. A lot of this stuff's terrible. ETC. It looks a little better than EOS. Yeah, but like there's so much better stuff I'd rather play than like, for example, ETC. But you do have a downtrend. You've got kind of higher low structure. You can observe that. You have, generally speaking, kind of the price is testing a generalized supply area around that $35 range. In terms of like an actionable trade, though, I think you just kind of wait for a recapture of this level. Let's just clean it up. I think you got to wait for a recapture of this level. Just be patient. Just wait for like a 38. I mean, it's a 33. I'd rather wait for confirmation, right? I'd rather be late to the party than show up to the wrong party, right? Have you heard that thing before? All right, let's get to that. Really appreciate you taking the time to videos, help us learn. Yeah, well, thanks, Dougie, man. Just doing my thing, man. It's just we're just people. We're just enjoying. We happen to be enjoying the same thing at the same time. So let's be nice to each other. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Fetch, no real trend. No real trend. Not a downtrend, not an uptrend, not something I'm looking to trade. Phil looks terrible. FTM's really interesting. This is a big hype one. Big hype one. I know a lot of people have drank all the gallons of Kool-Aid on this one. This is a dangerous one. I mean, this is if you were to ask me, what would I rather be, long than short, I'd definitely rather be short here. You've got really kind of an underside breakdown and kind of a retest. And that's just kind of how I see it. Below the moving averages, like what would change my opinion? I guess I got to see it above about 147, 150 to get a little bit more comfortable with this one. But otherwise, it looks generally M top, right? Double top, trough, 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 peak, peak. It's pretty clear with the kind of the underside retest. And that's how I'm seeing it right now. Be careful in these hype coins. Like this, don't listen to other people's chat rooms. I honestly think you need to just not be in any discords or any chat rooms. I mean, unless you're bored and you have fun with it. But like, you get in these rooms where it's a bunch of people who are all holding the same thing and they're all down and they're all like telling each other it's going to be okay because the founder like had lunch with somebody who's like uncle is on the board somewhere. Like who cares? Like and I've fallen for it. So now it drives me crazy like talking about, but like who cares? Like great. Don't tell me, show me. Show me in the price. That's the point. That's what I'm talking about. FTT is kind of interesting here. Look at this really well-defined breakout level. It's a general concept. You want to look for the levels on the chart which are the most actionable, right? You're trying to structure your trade in such a way that you can find your invalidation point as close to your entry as possible, right? Um, look, I'm gonna get to that. I got you, homie. Muchin. I got you, Lena's coming up. I don't know if this means super sticker, but I appreciate you folks, man. Appreciate that, man. I'm just having fun. So thank you so much. Um, what's a super sticker? I don't even know what that is, but that's cool. Look, you want to look for the most well-defined levels on the chart, and you want to look for charts with well-defined levels. If you find charts, Jorge says, I missed the start of the video. I'll do dancing at the end, Jorge. Amigo. Primo, don't worry about it. I'll do some dancing in the end. You want to look for well-defined levels on charts, right? You don't want to be playing the middle. You don't want to be playing the chop. It's that same concept. This is a pretty well-defined level, support resistant flip level. And it's not about exact levels, it's zones. It's not about exact price. It's really a zone here where this is support. It's support. Now it's resistance. It's resistance. It's resistance. So in terms of the health and the longevity and kind of you wanting to ride a trend, you know, if we can get back up above 49 and certainly 50, you want to ride this trend. You want to go long. Gala, slow bleed, my friends. This is one where you get the let me do it this way. Let me do it this way. You get the rocket ship up and then the slow bleed down. And you kind of retrace all the gains. It happens quite a bit. I'm not saying we're going to retrace all the way down to 10 cents. But it's not a good looking chart. And when you go up this quick, you don't really have support on the way down. It's doing the slow bleed. GRT does not look good. You need to get back up above 51, 52 cents to have any momentum. Not too many good looking charts so far, honestly. It's kind of a tough altcoin market. And that's the point. Like, don't be itching just to play stuff just because you're bored and you want to kind of, you want to turn it, 15 cents into a dollar. You're probably going to turn your 15 cents into 5 cents. You need to be really careful and pick your spots, pick your time. It's just honestly, most of the time, it's better just do nothing and wait for volatility. Volatility often will offer you the best opportunities, the best trading setups. HBR, AR, it's kind of a boring, kind of a trend list chart. There's nothing really interesting about it to me. Personally, let's continue on. I'm checking here with the chat room. I'll get to Rune, I'll get to Waves, I'll get to a lot of these. I'm not going to add new lists, new plays rather, to this watch list. So whatever's on the watch list is on there. I'm not taking requests at this point. Hero, not so much Hex. Wow, there's so much hype. This was like one of the better charts. It's kind of rolling over, and that's a pretty rough break right there. Look at that, losing that December lows. So hexagons, as they are so called, this thing's kind of rolling over. So I mean, these people were on top of the world. It was one of the best charts. It's one of those things where you kind of have to always take profit. You can't count on stuff to just always be bullish. It's just how it works. You wash out short-term speculators. Trends need to pause. They need to consolidate. And here you've kind of got that it's a bad sign. Getting below that 12, 13 cents is a bad sign. H&T. It's at the beginning of really kind of confirming a downtrend, a nice move, rolling over, losing the 200. It needs to stay above 1920. HORD looks terrible. ICP looks terrible. ICX looks terrible. ILV terrible. IOTX boring, terrible. Jasmine is interesting. I didn't really tweet it out There's not enough price history for me. I try to guard my account, my Twitter account, at Big Chads. I try to be responsible with it, and, like, this isn't, try to practice what I preach. You need chart history, and, yeah, I mean, this volume is certainly interesting, but this isn't like a chart I can really tweet out, but I've kinda been watching it because the volume is interesting, but there's not much you can do. You kinda try to figure out where your kinda support resistance flipping levels are, and maybe it's right there. So, yeah, above that 5 cent level would be interesting. Maybe keep an eye on it, but there's still a lot better stuff to play. But I'm so trained that I see volume and I'm like, "Ooh, that's interesting." "Oh, okay, well, here's volume." So, like, I see volume, I start to pay attention, but it's really early, super, super early, on this one. Thank you for the call out. Let's see. This is what I'm saying, up 2 a.m. and here for another Big Chats episode moments, you know? I absolutely do trade equities, and I'm terrible at it, but I'm learning, I enjoy it. I do options, on the equities, and I'm learning. I have a lot to learn, but I'm still working on it. Um, KDA, and that's the thing, like, I know Bitcoin. I can trade Bitcoin, like, that's not a problem. So I get it, I feel it. I can just the first thing I look at in the morning, the last thing I look at night is the Bitcoin chart, other than my wife, right, obviously. But, I know the chart, and I'm just trying to learn the equities as well as I understand Bitcoin. KDA, yeah, look at this tightening range. Let's just clean it up a little bit. Clearly the breakdown. I've covered this for Bitcoin Live members. You can see kind of the breakdown, and the pullback or the bearish retest. Thank you, as well. Love you like a brother. Appreciate that. One of my favorite disco tune. By the way, the song is called Church of Eight Wheels is a song I do in my intro and outro. Had the clear breakdown. You've got this, interesting kind of a tightening range here. All right, you kinda see that, and you see this. So you've got kinda evidence of, like, price compression. So it'll be interesting to see kinda which way it breaks. But, like, this isn't, like, something I'm looking to trade. Kinda boring sideways chart. Keep KSM's kinda breaking down. Little bit interesting, but kinda MA50 tag. First time it's tagged the MA50, right? Since back in January. You have kind of a lower high break, but it's super early. But this one's, I don't know, for whatever reason, I can envision this doing potentially the throwback, the bullish retest, bouncing, maybe rejecting, and then coming through there. So I think you kind of get really interested around 156. I tagged you. And if you know my daughter playing on Twitter, that's okay. Very cool. Very cool. I have looked at ATOM, yes, 490 of you folks, good find, folks. Alex Terrible, Lena was requested. Like, somebody asked for Lena, like, what are you doing in this chart? Like, you should be in Luna, not Lena. I mean, look at this thing, it's a downtrend. You have to retrain yourself to only play the best stuff. You really need to. Downtrends will be downtrends, and we're in like a dicey environment right now with the crypto market, given kind of what's going on with Bitcoin, what's going on with the macro environment, the uncertainty. Like, just don't be playing stuff like this. Link, not so much, but it's at an interesting point. I'll at least cover it here for a minute. You've got a kind of clear level where you're trying to flip this back into support. So I mean, above 16, all right, you can start talking about Luna rather. I might, for me, like, what's tweet worthy for Cheds? Yeah, above 16, I might start to get interested in it, but it's a downtrend. Like, this is a downtrend. Like, go play better stuff. Look, looks rare, whatever. Yeah, not too much price history, not much to say. LPT kind of boring sideways here. LRC, boring. LTC. If you get above 125, you go long. But I'm really not interested until either 125 or like $45, $50. and I might trade it off 70 briefly. But it's just a downtrend, and I recently had a nice trade from 100 to 135, that I tweeted about on Twitter, talked about on BCL. I'm not interested in it at this point, but I will kind of observe the confluence. Let's see, the Will says, "Hi, fire content, appreciate that. Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate everybody's feedback and for watching. You kinda get that confluence of the downtrend and the horizontal. I think above 125, you can be confident going long. LTO looked kind of weak. Been kinda looking for Luna to kind of form that, handle in the cup and handle bullish continuation thesis. You know, like, whatever you're in, you need to look at whatever you were look whoever requested Lena and a couple people had, what are we doing? Like, Lena or Luna? Look at the 2 charts and ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you are adding to weaker charts, right? You wanna add to stronger charts. You wanna average up. Never average down. If your trade thesis fails, get out. If your trade idea fails, get out. If you think it's a bounce, right, and you buy it and it goes lower, get out. Don't add more, right? Because when you add more, now it owns you. It owns you, right? You're sleeping. You wake up in the morning, you have to look at it, right? Your mood for the day, whether it's up or down 2%, like it owns you, right? When your trade idea fails, get out. Only play the best stuff. Let's see. Bought the book a few weeks ago. You provide so much for free. I want to support you. You're the man. Well, thank you. When I do this in my videos and I bow, it's me saying thank you to you, and I appreciate that. Book's been well received. I'm really incredibly proud of it. I hope folks like book 3. Book 3 is coming out in a couple months. I think it's gonna be a pretty cool book. Cup and handle, bullish continuation. So ask yourself, like whatever you're playing, if it doesn't look as good as Luna, get out of it. Magic looks terrible. Man is Man is bullish. It's a rising MA 200 is still above it. For me, I'd like to see it above 3. I've talked about this kind of consistently. There's, just to be consistently consistent, as I want to see above 3, the psychological level. That's a big level kind of in the chart. As well, how to get started from CMT. So I've done CMT level 1. I'm currently reading CMT level 2 book. There are 3 levels of tests, and then you join the association. You can just sign up. They send you the book, and there's a study course. I spent a lot of time on it. I did like 1,000 practice quizzes. I studied it for months. It was great. It really taught me like the rules. A lot of stuff I wasn't sure about because you heard people kind of say one thing is the rule and one thing's the other, and I'm like, who do I trust? It's nice to know what's what. And so now when I see on Twitter, like I know when people are BSing me. I don't have to guess, right? I know who knows what they're talking about. That's why I've got an edge sometimes, is because I don't want people, don't shine me on. Like, don't tell me, Judge Judy says, don't pee in my leg and tell me it's raining. Um, Man is good. I want to see it above 3. Matic, it's lost its mojo for me, but back up above 170, I would be interested. Otherwise, I'm waiting around $1. Media looks weak. Mina looks It's weak, a nice little bounce, but, still probably just a lower high bounce. What would get me interested? Yeah, back up above 235, 240. Mirror looks pretty weak. Maker looks weak. Near is interesting. I'd like to see near certainly above $12. It's been one of those relative strength participants. I don't know anything about being an accredited investor. I'm not an accredited investor, so I'm the wrong guy to ask, my friend. Judge Judy is definitely G. Judge Judy's my spirit animal. This is so rad. I'm just having fun. It's just me and you folks. Thanks a lot for this, Cheds. I appreciate you folks. If nobody watched, it wouldn't be nearly as fun. So 489 of you, thank you for watching. This is way longer than my normal update. Neo's pretty weak. Neo, I want to see Neo above 26. NKN, yeah, kind of a boring looking chart, downtrend. Null sideways. OMG. OMG, a little bit of momentum here. Let's see a little bit of a relative strength in OMG here, right? Look at that. Look at OMG today. I kind of scan up. It's got one of the better candles today. That's relative strength. Had you not gone long in the lower high break, perhaps you're waiting for a recapture of the that 540 level from early February. But this is interesting. You at least you want to scan for relative strength. Did I miss Zcash chart? We're at so we're not at Z yet, brother. Thank you for the education. Thank you. So this is one's kind of interesting. Omizigo. I'd be curious to see if we get any kind of follow through. I think certainly above 560 would be interesting. One, it looks weaker. Like, look, would you rather be an Omizigo or one? Look at that response. Much better response here. It's more or less kind of the same chart. More or less. Higher PYR. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. It looks pretty weak to me. I'm not gonna spend too much time in that. Q&T looks weak. Sorry, I saw someone requested that. REVV looks weak. RLC looks weak. Render looks okay. You've got a pretty well-defined tightening range here. So you're looking for some kind of a resolution of this tightening range. I think you can kind of perhaps mark your pivot on that lower high and perhaps use that higher low as well. Alphabet order, I get it. Let's continue on to Rose. Rose is it's all right. It's kind of hanging in there. I've structured my analysis around the idea that Rose needs to hold on to above 21.6. It's kind of hanging in there. It needs to hold above 22.6. Rune is interesting. We have a nice March here, and Rune's been rallying essentially ahead of the rest of the market. Rune's been rallying ahead of the rest of the market. You've got the fact that you have initially the spring, you have the entry here on the long leg doji. Long leg doji from February 24th. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my tutorial. Long leg doji, where you have essentially you temporarily violate that low, recapture it. So you get that entry there. You could very well have been long from 330, and you potentially could have been long here from that 5 break that would have stopped you out. And you kind of probably would have waited and gone long again and back up above 6. So you're in profit. Now you have the MA200 recapture. Probably need to pause here. Testing those late December highs. We have the long leg doji. I think I see it pausing here, but I kind of like the way the chart is trending. So I like to see how that's going on Rune. I had someone super chat. Appreciate that. You don't need to do that, but AVAX or Solana. I mean, have I got to Solana yet? I'm at Rune. I haven't done Solana yet. But I'll do AVAX. I mean, I'll just remind you, AVAX tightening range, and you have kind of the idea that AVAX bounced off of what was the pivot point. Like trains are going down the train tracks, and there's certain points where you pull the switch and it's clear it's going on another path. And had the price broken below 65, it would have been clear that would have been breaking down, right? We've bounced from that point, and we've now bounced into the level that is a train track switch to become bullish. In my opinion, if we get back above this $90 level, I think we probably see a little bit of a bull run. We haven't gotten to Solana yet. We're gonna get to Solana. AVAX or Sol, I'd pick AVAX. It's a stronger chart. I just know that intuitively because I do this for a living. But we'll get to it and get the bounce. Long leg doji on Rune. We've discussed that. Sand is another metaverse. It's also a relative strength participant. We get the rising MA200. We have the bounce. February 24th low, January 24th low. Similar structure to much of the rest of the market, but you were able to give up all these losses and still be above the MA200. We're still kind of churning, kind of holding on to, clinging. I like that cat with the those posters, those those motivational posters where you're hanging by the cat, on the edge of the mountain, and it's like, hold on, like hanging there, It's kind of doing that still with the MA200. Below 250, I would be incredibly concerned, and above really 350, I'd be interested. I would certainly be interested to take some type of a long risk. Not really a fan of SHIB. I'm not a fan of these. And you kind of noticed earlier, but you didn't. Perhaps you didn't. But with Doge, I zip right past it. I'm not a fan of these like hype meme coins. I'm not a fan of this stuff. Appreciate that show that likes. Hi from Bulgaria. I covered ADA earlier. Yeah, it's looking good, but it's still bearish. It's below $1, so don't get carried away, right? Um, I don't really like these meme coins because it's like a tweet can move them, and this kind of also in terms of like chart construction, you've got that rocket ship up, slow bleed, right? And that's the kind of concept. I'm not a fan of these charts generally. I like the stair-stepping charts. Kind of set a high, you come back, you break up above it, you test it, you come back, you test it, right? You stair step it, right? These kind of rocket ship charts, you kind of slow bleed for a long time, and a lot of the time you full round trip it. So that's just kind of my premise where I'm coming from with these. In terms of what I would do with this, I wouldn't be trading this. I mean, maybe I would play it off this 1800, what is that, Satoshi range. Otherwise, look for lower high break. It's not a good looking chart. Skill looks pretty weak. SLP is pretty weak. Soul's pretty weak. That's the thing. And Soul's one of those where there's a lot of people with, I'm not saying I don't want to say drink the Kool-Aid in the kind of a derivative sense or in kind of a like an offensive sense, but it just means you've like believed into like a story or a hype. It just price. It's below the 200. It's below the 50. It's consolidating below moving averages. I mean, that's a setup for likely bearish continuation. All right. That's kind of the point. Hello from Minnesota. I have a family member from St. Paul. So I've never been out there, but hello to you, my friend. Thank you, Ched from Singapore. What's up? You can't see my Twitter anymore. What's the matter? What does that mean? Why not? I'm out there. I'm still out there banging. You know me. I'm just banging out there every day. So Twitter's out there. Check it out. Um, just be careful with the chat rooms. Be careful with the articles. Like everything you read outside of the chart, it's going to take you away from. I think it's going to cost you money. It takes you away from observing the interaction of price and major support and resistance. Ched, did you do FTM? Absolutely. It will be available on the replay. Okay. So I mean, Soul, I get that it's a super hype coin. Um, when would I be interested? Yeah, above like about 120. Say above 120. Right. That's where I want to see flipped. I like the volume here in SRM. I like the fact that it's rallied. It's back up above February highs, above these July and June lows from 2021. The problem is when you move this far, this fast, you have to pause and consolidate. Look at this whole day, this whole candle. It's still young, 2 hours into the daily candle, but you can't have the whole candle above the upper Bollinger. That's ridiculous. So more than likely a pause, a consolidation, perhaps a throwback or a bullish retest of the EMA 8, perhaps a kind of lower high test. So don't be too frustrated if this needs to come back and test like that 210 area. STX doesn't look too good to me. This looks terrible. Sushi. Intel looks terrible. TLM looks terrible. It's a little boring sideways. There's no trade here. TRB looks terrible. Tribe. TRX. Sorry, Justin. I don't like it. UMA, not so much. This looks terrible. Uni looks terrible. Let's see. UTK looks terrible. VET looks terrible. VET looks. Bobby, Waves. Waves, a little bit more interesting. A little bit more interesting. We've got this box, this zone. We're above kind of 23, 24. Let's clean it up a little bit though. We're above the MA 200. That's important. I think I'd probably more so focus on there. We stay above really 22.70, really $23. That's good. It needs to pause here. I would say 80% likely to reject and pause at this level. You got to understand, right? When you make this move from $8 to $33 and you're rallying, um, let's see, pivot points. I mean, I talk about all the time. They're just key horizontal levels. It's prior highs and prior lows. Go check out my YouTube. Go to the tutorial playlist. You know, it's all out there. People ask me, like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, like, I've done it. It's all there. Watch the tutorials. It's all there. Watch the trading wisdom. So appreciate the question, but it's already done. Um, so we're above that high. We're above that lower high there. But when you rally that fast, when you rally that and fast, I'm talking in what is this? 3 weeks? Yeah, like 3 or 4 weeks. When you rally in 3 or 4 weeks, you go to, $8, 32, and it's right into major resistance. You're right into you're hitting the pocket, right? You're gonna pause. It needs to consolidate. You kinda understand that. So you say, "Okay, I expect it to," kinda like what Luna's doing. You're expecting Luna to reject there around like 100, and it's doing that. Um, it's gonna pause there, and it's gonna come back. You're expecting it to maybe throw back and retest 23, 24. XLM is absolutely terrible. XMR, pretty terrible too. XRP looks terrible. I'll pause on this though. There's a lot of hodlers. I mean, like, you get all this, when you're in this, you're in XRP feel good chat room and you're all hearing about, you're reading articles about Swift and you're reading articles about like this and that. Like, none of that matters. None of that matters. Brad had lunch with the king of Jordan. Like, what does that matter? There's just not a lot going on here from a trading standpoint. Like, you're not watching these videos to learn how to FA. You're watching these videos for me to learn TA and trend analysis. It's kind of a boring sideways, lean bearish chart short term, lean bullish long term. Um, clearly below 53 cents, you're worried. It's not going to $5 anytime soon. It's not going to $25 or 537. Uh, you know, uh, XRP, yikes, right? We're just having fun though. XRP is fun. It's not, you gotta understand, it's not going to those places quickly. This is a trendless chart. MA 200 now rolling over. You know, maybe there's a head and shoulders here, somewhere in here, maybe in somewhere in here is a head and shoulders, but like where's your neck base? Is your neck base line here or is it here? And like that's the thing. It's not clearly defined. It's not the type of chart I'm looking to play. I'm looking to play a cleanly defined chart with a clearly defined breakout level. XTZ looks pretty terrible. XVG looks absolutely terrible. XYO. I don't know why even have most of these on my list. Yiffy. I mean, this thing was bullish back in the day. This was 20K. I remember this was 1-to-1 with Bitcoin, right? Yeah. Hopium free. Maybe not opium free, but we're certainly hopium free, right? Um, yeah, I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm just telling you what I think. Yiffy, this is 1-to-1 with the Bitcoin price back here, right? Most of the time back here, it was really 1-to-1 with it. I believe March, April, but it's been kind of falling off. Zcash. So this was requested. You've been waiting for this. I put out a tweet. This is Saturday Night Gold. Thank you. I put out a tweet and it's pretty straightforward. Hey folks, tacos on Jared the Great. Hit that 2-for-1 special at Taco Bell, folks, on my friend here, Jared the Great. I appreciate that, brother. Zcash. I mean, you look for what's the most obvious level on the chart. And it's pretty clear, like 172, 173 needs to flip. It's pretty clear that needs to flip into support. And in terms of the progression of the chart and momentum, the fact that it broke up above it and, here, and it failed to hold it, right? That's not good, and we're kind of bouncing right into that pocket. So, as a trader, you wanna be careful. You wanna be careful and not get too bullish. You don't wanna get too bullish because 'cause you've gone from 85 and really 95 back up to 170, 150. It's like, what do you do here? So, kinda zoom in a little bit and, you're above the 50, you're above the 200, you're above your moving averages. What do you do? I think you can't do anything unless you have to kinda drop more micro into lower time frame structure and say, "Okay, maybe I'll buy here. I don't know about this level." You'd like to see it above that level, but you kinda wait for a dip and kinda try to buy that rising momentum and hope that if it drops to 163, 150, 158, then you kinda break through 170. It's basically a bounce right into resistance. Even though it still looks pretty good right now, it's a bounce into resistance. Back here it looked pretty good, and then, after that move, right, like right here, look at that. You had just cleared the lower high, and then boom, that was nasty. So you kind of never really know when that's going to happen, and you still want to be defensive on a bounce right into resistance. ZilQ looks terrible. You should be out of it. CRX looks terrible. Um, Back to BTC. As I've talked about, listen, go back, watch my other videos. I'm not gonna spend forever talking about this, how we got here, what my philosophy is. It's gonna be about 46K to get me interested, really interested. All this other stuff in between is kind of designed to make you lose money, to make you kind of get stopped out, chopped around. You got the 80-day rectangle. We're kind of what, 60, 70 days in this kind of a consolidation range. We're still in a range. January 24th low, February 24th low. Watch all those prior videos. You know, if we're going to 100K, I'd rather wait till we break 46K than like try to buy it like 42, 43 personally, Like if we break 46K, I think we're in great shape. And I've been consistent about that. And like I'd rather I caught a little flack back here, which is fine. I was a little more bearish maybe than I needed to be or than it proved out. But like I only missed a little bit. Like the bottom was like 30K. I confirmed bottom at like 34, 35K and we ran to 60, 65. So it's not about nailing the exact bottom, right? It's about identifying the trend and taking advantage of it and managing your risk, right? If you're a bigger gambler, a better gambler than me, like go for it. Have fun. But I'm here to kind of teach you how I see things, and hopefully that's of value to you. I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds. Academic observations about price, trading psychology, risk management. The book is available, Trading Wisdom 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. It's been incredibly well received. I want to say thank you. I appreciate the feedback I've received. I never really would have expected this. So that's pretty amazing. Check out those reviews. Kindle, audiobook, hardcover, paperback. If you don't want to buy the book, I have your back. I will eventually have the whole book for free for you on my YouTube channel, Trading Wisdom 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. I'm going to do lesson 13 this week. What's lesson 13? I haven't even prepared. I don't really like to prepare. I just kind of go fresh. You get to kind of get the raw, honest take for me. Lesson 13: manage your stack. It's about scaling into at support, scale out at resistance, managing your bankroll a little bit. Yeah, that should be a fun one. Manage your stack, lesson 13. We're going to do that one this week. Check that out. If you're new to trading, you really want to learn how to trade, check out the tutorial educational live streams. I've really been enjoying doing the long form interview series. I have a great series of guests. Some of the folks I like to think of as the thank you for your time. Appreciate that. Thank you very well. Nice one, folks. I love you. All right. Appreciate it. Hope you know that. Some of the smarter minds in the space. That's what I do on YouTube. Check out the quick market update. If you're serious about learning how to trade, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I am a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live. I've been doing twice a week, full market updates for almost 4 years, and I really never miss an update. If I'm on vacation, I have my laptop, I have my microphone, my wife and my daughter know when it's time to do Bitcoin Live update because I do it. So check it out. I really enjoy doing what I do. I'd encourage you to check that out. But for here tonight, I appreciate you watching me here on YouTube. I've been rambling for just over an hour. I did a kind of a full altcoin scan. I do not do those very often at all, but I hope it's been instructive for you. I'm trying to teach you a little bit about my approach, a little bit about how I do things. There we go. A little bit of how I do things and why I do things. And hopefully that is of value to you, but you need to find your style. I'm not the best trader. I'm trying to be the best teacher. All right. I'll let you figure out what your best method of trading is, and hopefully something I'm doing is of value to you. Um, that's really why I'm here. I've had a lot of fun, folks. I'm glad you're watching me from all around the world. I think we should finish it off with a little bit of dancing as always. Let's see what we can come up with.